Welcome to Red Zone DFS Week 6. Boys, how'd you guys do last week?
Semi okay. Could have been better. It was really tragic having the nuts Buffalo stack and the rest of my pieces not getting it done for me. But outside of that, okay.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the Captain Midget in Arizona, if he, number one, would have hit Zach Ertz on that very wide open, deep out, that would have helped. And then had he decided to not randomly spike the ball or get out of bounds and actually so they could run another play, a touchdown to Ertz or Rondale Moore probably would have been worth about $3,000.
Maybe watching some game film on game strategy and clock management would have helped Kyler there.
That might have helped.
New Call of Duty maps came out. Can't be bothered.
Yeah, all I know is my lineups absolutely went berserk last week. I had like 3 of them that had massive potential, and they just happened to be the 3 lineups with Damian Harris in them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a bad beat. And then we go to the Raiders-Chiefs showdown where my team actually almost got in the money, and I had Waller in the captain spot, put up a 0. My team still almost got in the money. So coming off some bad beats and looking to redeem myself this week.
Yeah, I mean, the showdown was not great. My hard fade was Jacobs, and my replacement for that was Waller. And I had my first skunk of the entire showdown year. First time I just didn't win anything back. So
this is it. This is the slump buster.
There's only one way to go, and that's up. So let's start on quarterbacks/stacks. I mean, the elephant in the room on this one, right? I mean, the easiest one in the book. Let's just get this out of the way. It's the Chiefs and the Bills. I'm so glad this is an afternoon game and not a morning game.
How do they not flex at the Monday night, by the way? But
just for us that play DraftKings.
I know why they can't, but like Goodell needs to just step in with the networks here and go, we can't possibly watch another Denver primetime game.
Well, I mean, it is prime. This is prime time for most of the East Coast, right?
I guess
it's a 4:30 game.
Yeah,
for the East Coast, it's going to be game of the week. Everyone's going to be watching this game. It's the reason why they only scheduled the Carolina and the Rams and Arizona and Seattle up against it.
It's going to be pretty wild because, like, obviously, I don't know if you saw it today. The Arizona-Seattle game got pushed back a little bit because of the baseball game, but outside of that, like, the whole slate is going to be dependent on basically the last game, of the day, which is just going to be wild. Like, it's the ultimate late game hammer.
So it's also interesting too, because I mean, when you have some different options in the late game, if your lineup's not going well, you can late swap onto some different guys.
Yeah.
There's not really going to be that option. Unless you want to try and late swap onto some other guys, but the price comparison just won't be there, right? Like, if you're losing real bad, the only thing I could see you doing is swapping down onto Cup and then like putting Geno let's
talk about it, because I don't know if you ran numbers on, the source that you used, but I ran ownership, and like on this game is not nearly as high as I thought it was going to be. Now that can change, but I'm not seeing the chalk I expected in this game.
Well, Josh Allen's projected 16 to 22%.
Josh Allen is, and so is Diggs. But outside of that, man, like, I'm seeing Gabe at like sub 10%.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the same thing. We'll talk about stacks at the end, but like,
all right.
I mean,
well, quarterback wise, what do you like? I'm guessing you're playing these guys. Like, I will be.
So yeah, but I actually have quite a bit of interest in Lamar.
I think it's a really good pivot.
I think that, it's there's definitely something to be said for going all in on one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Lamar is going to be playing the Giants, and the Giants are not very good. They're okay, right? But his running upside, I mean, Josh Allen has it too. Mahomes has the touchdown upside as well. I don't know if they're at the point where they're as explosive. Where that game, people are thinking. I feel like people think it's going to be like 43-40 or something like that, and I just don't see it being that wild, right? Like it's going to be.
It could, but I'm with you. I think more often than not, like it doesn't hit, right? Like where everyone goes all in, or at least the full package, right?
Like I'm going to be playing some of those guys, but I have a lot more interest in playing like a Lamar Kelsey, or I'm sorry, a Lamar Andrews.
I think
playing Kelsey, playing Gabe,
right,
and then just kind of picking off some of those other ancillary pieces and trying to get exposure to the game that way.
I think it's a good game theory because, like you said, if Lamar hits, right, and just absolutely smashes, you're in an amazing spot to kind of dictate what your afternoon looks like.
100%.
If he busts, or let's say Lamar has a 22-point game and Andrews gets you 11, which is unlikely, but what if it happens? Like, you can get way different in the afternoon game, right? Like, you can stack up Carolina. Like, you can get different and just hope that game busts, right? So I'm with you. I think that's a really good play. And one of the few spots you can go and know you can keep up potentially with, like,
yeah.
You know,
I feel like the price point, right? Like Allen, Mahomes, potentially going to hit, especially Allen. Mahomes, he might not hit. They might go to other targets. They might run the ball in the red zone. The Bills might do the same thing. I'm not going all in on Allen and Mahomes. There's too many other quarterbacks with great value down here that you can get on and still get in on that Buffalo KC game in your spots that you like, just like you guys were saying. So I'm going to have a couple lineups with these guys. I mean, if you didn't have Josh Allen last week, you're at a tough sledding, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like you're going to have 4 or 5 quarterbacks that have that upside this week.
Well,
so you don't necessarily have to pay that much.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in stacks, but like I'm with you, Joe, because I think like we kind of just hit on, we're dancing around the subject, but like there are spots in this game that are not going to be highly owned that you could go to 100%. And you could beat the full game stacks because we know where most people are going to try to go, right? So I like that a lot. What are some of the guys then? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
We could talk about it later, but like, I think the Bills D is kind of a sneaky play.
It's not. I think the Chiefs could be too. Like they can get pressure. They can create some havoc. Like both sides can.
I mean, but you saw it last. I mean, the Raiders, who have an okay pass rush, that's the strength of the Bills defense. It's not the passing defense. It's the front seven. So
if you're gonna full fade it, I think you got to go there.
Well,
maybe don't have to, but it's a very interesting way to get leverage.
Well, you can just do it and that's a way you can get different, but still get exposure to the game, right?
Yep.
I think this is going to be more, and the thing is, guys, this can be more like a playoff game, right? Where these teams' defenses are both stepping up, playing hard, getting weird, and this game ends up being 24-16 or 24-22 or something in that range. And yeah, you're going to get your points, but not that explosive game and an absolute blow up that most people are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, this game could be 31-28, and it's still a good game to play, but like it's not going to be a 85-90 point shootout, right?
Yeah.
Like that's possible. So,
but yeah, if I'm going up high, the way to get contrarian is Lamar, right?
Yeah.
Especially if Bateman is back. He didn't practice today. It's only Wednesday, so there's a lot of time. But if Bateman's back, I mean, that Lamar going against the Giants are going to keep the game competitive because that's the kind of team they are. They got good coaching, especially on the offense side of the ball, and Lamar is going to be able to push it all the way through to the fourth quarter. I don't think we're going to see a blowout in this game, even though I do think, Baltimore will win. But let's go down. Are you guys have any interest in Kyler in Seattle in that Seattle game?
I mean, I do.
I do too.
As long as the weather is okay up there, Kyler doesn't play great in bad weather.
Tiny hands.
Tiny hands.
Tiny man.
So he probably buys the smaller
controller for his PS4. Yeah.
He probably buys the smaller one. You can buy like the kids version so you can like reach, your thumbs can reach. He's probably in there playing like little tiny hands, man.
You just use the computer mouse.
Yeah, he might have to. He might be a big computer Call of Duty guy, right? I mean, I've got some interest in Kyler.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that my ownership projection thing might be broken because it says Tom Brady is going to be 48% owned. So
I think you're broken. I have Brady here at about 9 to 12%.
Okay, that's what I was curious about because, like, last week he got there in a very interesting way. I don't think that, Lenny's going to have 2 receiving touchdowns again. That's highly unlikely. But I think I might rather go to Tom for $1,000 less than Kyler in that Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is just
They're bad, man.
god awful.
With no TJ Watt, Pittsburgh's not they don't have anything on defense. Tom Brady's thrown over 50 passes the last 2 weeks. I mean, he's back into his groove. You can tell in the beginning of the season, obviously there wasn't some things going the way they wanted to. 50 passes, 2 games. I mean, you can't ignore that volume.
Yeah, the interesting thing I like about this too is, like, at least what I'm seeing right now is, Brady's going to be like 9-12, but Godwin and Evans are going to be very low owned, and Lenny's projecting to be the number 1 owned player on the slate.
Yeah, I'm loving Evans this week. We'll talk more about that.
But in that case, like, I'm with you. Brady in the passing game becomes very interesting now.
Yeah.
Like, very appealing, I guess.
And then, I'm going right back to Kirk at 6,000.
I have him on here. Yeah.
Miami's defense is a tire fire. Miami's whole organization right now is so route. They can't decide whether players are hurt or not. Like, they're a fucking mess.
Yeah, their president, CEO, they're all involved. The HR department, they're all involved right now.
It's an absolute disaster. But my only concern there is whoever Miami decides to trot out there at quarterback, this could get pretty ugly.
Yeah, that's my fear.
We thought that last week with the Bears.
Yeah.
And the Bears kept up because, you know what? Minnesota's defense just isn't that great.
And Kirk Cousins couldn't throw the ball in the red zone, even though he completed 90% of his passes in 3 quarters.
He's got his limitations, right?
I think McDaniel will come up with a good plan to keep this, like, at least somewhat manageable. Like, I don't think Miami's that bad will get blown out, like. But
no, I don't think so either. But of the mid-range guys in that, like, 55 to like 62 range, or 63, for me, it's Brady and Cousins are my two guys in that range.
You can't ignore what Geno Smith and the Seahawks have been doing. You just can't ignore it. I mean, you can hate it, but the amount they're throwing the ball and the amount of touchdowns and points that Geno's putting up, I mean, the last 3 weeks, 24, 35, 23, and he put up an 18-point game in week 1. He's 5,700. And Seattle's airing it out, dude. They're going DK, Lockett. I mean, line up that stack for me. So, especially in that PM time when everyone goes to that Buffalo KC game, give me some Seattle.
What I'm seeing right now,
getting a little owned.
Geno is showing for me as the second highest owned quarterback on the
Me too.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you, Joe. I came into the week like kind of throwing some dummy lineups around with Geno because it's just too easy, right? But I think looking at it now, if I'm going to play that game, I'm probably going to play Kyler for half the ownership. I know you have to pay up for it, but the Cardinals side of this game is going to be the low-owned side. So everyone's going Seattle.
I don't hate the Geno call, Joe.
Yeah, I don't either.
My only issue with Geno is that when he plays good defenses, they don't do anything. I mean, week 1 and 2, he threw for 195 and 197 yards, right? Then
what makes Arizona a good defense, though?
So I don't know if they are or not. I think that they have some pieces that they can be. I don't know, man.
I don't know. You are what you are, and Arizona is one of those teams this year that no one's even just thinking about because offense and defense, they're average.
I think it's one of those It's one of those divisional games where, like, I'm basically playing the other side of what you're thinking, Joey, of like Geno's been rolling, Geno's been doing this, Geno's been great. There's going to be one of these weeks where Geno's just going to lay a gigantic turd.
Well, you have to remember, too, the reason Geno's doing this is because Seattle's getting blasted on defense and giving up so many points, right? Like, it creates that, like, up-tempo game. I'm with you, Joe. I don't think the Cardinals' defense is very good, but, like, I mean, I bet on the Eagles last week, and the Cardinals did not, like, they, you know what I mean? Like, they held that game together. Like, we talked about at the beginning, if Kyler just has a sense of game management, like, that game's going to overtime, right? So.
And there's just some guys cheaper than Geno that I would rather play that have some running.
Let's go to those guys because that's where I'm
Go ahead.
I don't know who I like.
I'm not paying less than Geno. So if you
really,
have some,
there's two guys
wild,
down here that I love. So Joe, you take one, and I'll do the other one.
Okay, you go first.
I mean, it's got to be the MILF Hunter,
Zach
Wilson. Yes. Well, I mean, what are we going to start paying this kid a little bit of respect? I mean, they did it with the running game last week, but that was heavy variance that is just going to flip back to the other side, right? He didn't kill you last week either at 14.6 at 5,300, and he's the same price this week. He's playing Green Bay. Green Bay fucking sucks. Like, it's going to be one of those games, I think, where it shoots out a little bit. Really like him to kind of get back on track this week. I think they were easing him back the last couple weeks. I mean, he's a dynamic player, and I think that he's going to have a decent game, and there's just nobody going to be playing him.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy in my larger field single entries that I really want to have because no one's going to play him.
And you got to think Green Bay coming back from London, right? Like,
they don't look good.
Easy trip. They don't look great.
They look terrible.
They don't look good at all.
I still don't think their defense is terrible, but yeah, I'm with you. He's going to be 0% out.
And the main reason too is his pieces that you can stack with him, and we'll talk about it later when we get to stacks, is they're very cheap. Right? I mean, Garrett Wilson, who popped off a few weeks in a row, all of a sudden, hasn't done a whole bunch. And it's just like, he's still getting the targets. He's just not converting them. Elijah Moore, he leads the team in air yards, not converting them. Right. So at some point, the variance is going to come back down to earth. And both of those guys are 5,000 or less. That stack really allows you to get to some of those other players in some of these premium games that we want to. You could even add in like a Dobbs from Green Bay, and then you can basically go get whoever you want from whatever game you want to, right? Yeah. So, Joe, who is your cheap guy down here?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go to that Baltimore game, it's Danny Dimes at 5,200, right? I mean, you can argue that he's the second best running quarterback in the NFL.
100%.
I mean, they are at the point, the Giants, where they don't know if Jones is going to be their guy in the future. They're actually pretty certain they're not, because the way they're playing him is, no, we're going to go get wins right now. We're going to change the culture of this team, and we're not trying to save Danny Dimes' health. They're going to run the ball. They're giving him the ball. Saquon's a weapon. This Baltimore defense has not been anything special, right? You get that notion in your head, just like the Steelers, that, Baltimore and the Steelers, they got these great defenses. No. Not this year. And Daniel Jones is showing something. And the reality is he's putting up points and he's just not getting in the end zone.
Yep.
Get this guy in the end zone a couple of times this week, especially if they start blowing them out and he really has to start hucking and chucking it, and maybe get some of these receivers back, someone like a Kadarius Toney or something that's, highly unlikely, but he starts getting some of these guys back. I mean, I'll pair him with Darius Slayton, go with Andrews on the other side, right? Darius Slayton's one of those dudes. He never starts, and somehow the Giants receiving core gets depleted every year, and then the guy catches 2 touchdowns from Daniel Jones. So I think that's the easiest one. If I'm going to try to get weird in lineups and I need to cut some costs, it's Daniel Jones.
100%. Right. I mean, that's the guy for me too. There's no reason not to try him out. At 5,200, like, you're telling me that he's only $300 more than PJ Walker? Like, I don't get the pricing there.
Yeah.
For the amount of
I know why. It's because in 5 games he has 3 touchdown passes. So on the stat sheets in fantasy football, it doesn't look great. But when you actually watch this guy play, he's playing really well for what he's got, and he's running the hell out of the ball. He's got 230 rushing yards this year.
I mean, he's got a higher projection this week than Stafford, Lawrence, Mariota,
and it's because they're going to be playing from behind. It's going to be one of those guys again in the first half. You're going to go, oh shit, why did I take him? Again, and then in the second half, you go, okay, there's the 20 points I was looking for.
Right? Again, super cheap. You can pair him if you just want to do the easy thing and not overthink it. Just pair him with Saquon Barkley and move on.
Yeah,
because you're right there. You're gobbling up 95% of the rushing TD market share on the Giants right there. And then if he happens to throw one to Saquon, then you're really, really, really getting different with the field. And again, that's a cheaper stack where you can run back with Andrews and then kind of just get whoever you want to, right? Because the quarterback is so cheap.
In this game, when you get two quarterbacks that are willing to run the ball like crazy, you're going to get points. A lot of third downs are going to get converted, right?
Yep.
A lot of the ball is going to be moving constantly.
There's going to be a lot of plays in this game.
Exactly.
Yep.
A lot of plays, and that's that for that. So let's go to running backs.
I like it.
At the top, I don't know. I kind of have this weird feeling about Christian McCaffrey this week. Not that I want to go that high at running back, but no Matt Rule, new coach. He's going, fuck it. I'm trying to win myself a head coaching job right now. He's going to run McCaffrey 30 plus times. He doesn't give a shit. If this doesn't work out, he is going to be a coach on a different team next year. So he's going to run McCaffrey to the ground.
Yeah, he doesn't care. And they're going to go back. They're going to sit down. My only concern is that I don't know if Baker's going to play.
He's not going to play. It's PJ.
That's fantastic.
They ruled him out, so it is for sure PJ.
I think that's what I saw today.
So no one's going to play McCaffrey. So you can play. Well, he's getting a little ownership, but not enough to really care about.
Here's my only concern with it. Like, who knows if they're true? But like, there's rumors that like the Panthers may just fire sell this thing, right? Like, they're going to have the number 1 overall pick as of today. Like, if they're going to trade McCaffrey, which is very possible.
So they already came out and said that they're not going to do that.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I still don't see why they wouldn't personally, but I see what you're saying. Like,
but until
just because the draft capital for a running back trade is just not high enough to trade your star. It's going to be like a 4th round pick, which is not worth it. You know what I mean? Even for a guy as good as McCaffrey.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't. If you want to play him, then play him. Don't not play him because these rumors are coming out about trading him.
Yeah, no.
Until he's traded, I mean, this is the lowest price that I think Christian McCaffrey has been priced at in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he put up 23 points against the best defense in the NFL last week. I know he got a lot of catches and they were playing from behind and everything, but
that's what they're going to do.
That's going to be the same exact situation this week.
Exactly. That's not going to change a whole lot.
My problem is there's just so much value at running back so far this year. Like,
yeah. I'm not saying I'm going like all in on McCaffrey.
No, I know.
I just have this feeling this week that it's going to be one of those McCaffrey weeks when everyone goes,
"Oh, well." The nice part about how he's owned, you don't have to play a lot of McCaffrey.
No.
Yeah, and the best part about it is that opponent rank right next to his name first. Yep. Right, it's gonna scare the shit out of people, and the reality is the Rams just don't look great.
Yeah. What about below that? Who are you guys on? I'm not playing Fournette at that ownership. It burned me last week. I came into this week saying, you know what, like chalk has been hitting. Maybe the industry is getting sharper. Maybe I need to get smart and just kind of play, a few guys that are chalky. But I'm personally siding if I'm going up in that price range. Like, I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to play Lenny at that.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting thought. I mean, the chalk opinion for me is really like the types of tournaments that we play.
It's not a huge factor.
You just play your guys, right? We can, especially us. I think me personally, I'm pretty good at finding some like weird guys every week who will go off, and I'm usually pretty successful with that. And if I try and get too weird elsewhere, then I'm missing these really, really good situations, right?
Yeah. Yeah, now, don't play a lesser guy, for...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I definitely think that there's an argument to be made for the guys on either side of him, in Cook and Mixon. Now, I don't really like how Cook they're using Madison quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I get why, right? Like, Cook has a injury history. They're trying to keep him as healthy as possible because they have designs on, making a little bit of a run in the AFC North, which is understandable. So if that's going to be the case, I'm just going to go all on to Mixon at 6,900. The Bengals breakout week is coming, and New Orleans, they have good tackling linebackers, but they can't cover people too well. Mixon, again, we're talking about a guy that's getting 85 to 95% of the running back snaps. Samaje Perine comes in very, very periodically in 2-minute situations.
Mixon already has 96 carries through 5 weeks.
His usage is unbelievable. So like
and he only has 1 touchdown. Again, that's gonna change. I said this with Lockett last week when I was just like, look, he's getting the volume, no touchdowns. It's gonna happen. The aggregate, right? It's gonna happen. The average is gonna happen. So
I like the Mixon call. Yeah, I like that. I would rather play Mixon over Fournette. I'd rather play Mixon over Cook personally.
Yeah,
so,
I mean he's
and you got
got 96 attempts and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
One
and a lot of goal line tries, right?
And
just
no receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get a guy getting 14, 24, 12, 19, 27 rushing attempts and only 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
You're gonna go the other way for regression in that one. Mm-hmm. That's really where I'm kind of when I was looking at, everything this week, that's really what popped out to me.
And to go back to Fournette for a second, in this situation with Tampa Bay, you got to tell yourself a story of what's going to happen in this game and who's going to get the touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Evans this week. Like I might not even be on Brady, but like Evans is my guy, so Fournette's not. And you just gotta pick your side and you gotta roll.
Yep.
All right, let's go down. I really like Kamara if Jameis doesn't play. Right? If Jameis plays, that entire offense changes and Kamara doesn't get the ball, he doesn't get catches. If Andy Dalton's the quarterback, yes, Taysom Hill is going to snake some stuff from you. Kamara still had a big week last week, even with Taysom Hill getting 4 touchdowns. Kamara still had 28 points. So if it's the Andy Dalton show over there, I'm in love with Kamara this week. If it's Jameis, I'm out.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally just going to go down into these lower 6s where I think my 2 favorite plays in the week, and I just don't really care about ownership here, is Wilson and Stevenson. Like, they're just in such an awesome spots. Like, at the low 6K, you know what I mean? Go ahead, Joe.
If there's one thing that I've learned about these lower end running backs that are highly owned, there's a reason for it, and they usually go off. Right, they usually get you your 4x. Even if you're part of the ownership, you're gonna get contrarian elsewhere in your lineup. So don't get too obsessed with that 1 or 2 guys, especially if it's a 6K running back is going to go for 25.
Well, Wilson and Stevenson, I mean, I know they both went up in price, but like the situation, they're both clearly the bell cow. Like they should be in the 7s here. Like,
yeah,
that's my thought.
I definitely don't think that they're priced correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Jeff Wilson's getting more touches than Mixon.
I don't understand why people they're just still not playing him. And it's like, do you guys not watch the games? Like, and even if you don't watch the games and you're a fucking spreadsheet nerd, you can see he's getting the carries. So like at 6,200, a base projection of 16 points.
Yeah.
Like against a terrible Atlanta team. Like this is a second road game in a row. The Niners just want to run the ball, burn the clock, get the hell out of there, and get back to the West Coast to get ready for their big matchup with the Chiefs next week. Like they are not going to throw the ball around. Now, Atlanta has shown that they could be pretty good, and the Niners are pretty severely banged up on the defensive side, especially in the secondary.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you wanted to get cute, you could maybe play a little bit of Tevin Coleman, but just be careful.
No, don't do it.
I was a little sad to see the ownership on one of my guys from last week, who's clearly the dominant force in that backfield, and that's Raheem Mostert. You've got Mike McDaniel that came from San Francisco that worked with Raheem.
Yeah,
like he is in the doghouse.
Well, Edmonds isn't quick enough to he's more of that like weird like
he's a gadget player.
He like sits and like chops a lot like Le'Veon Bell used to do, right? And trying to look for an area. Like that is not what Mike McDaniel's run scheme is predicated on. It's predicated on hitting a certain spot, making one cut and going.
Yeah.
And if he's got a guy that's going to listen to him and run that scheme until Raheem Mostert gets hurt, I'm going to continue to play him. Now he didn't practice. He didn't practice today, so I'm hoping that.
Yeah, it's veteran maintenance on a Wednesday.
I mean, I only bring that up because I'm really hoping that people kind of sour on him and think that he's not going to get a lot of run or anything like that. I'm more curious. I wanted to see what you guys are doing with Kenneth Walker.
Well, hold on, real quick.
I want to go to Devin Singletary.
Well, real quick, there's two guys above that I have interest in, and that's Breece Hall and your boy Jim. I'm on him this week. You've been playing him all year, so I'm giving you credit. But this is Devin Singletary week.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Devin Singletary, man. This is the contrarian week to get weird.
And he's sub 10% in that game. Like that's if we think the Chiefs got a pass rush with Chris Jones and all that, like
this is like the first time in the running back category we've agreed, by the way. So full hammer Singletary.
So
I like him a lot this week.
You get hypnotized by Travis Kelce's 4 touchdowns and blah blah. Look at what Josh Jacobs did in that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
He ran all over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs are not stupid. The Bills are not stupid. They're going to watch that. They're playing on the road. They want to win, and they really don't care how after what happened last year, right? I didn't mention Singletary because I figured you guys were sick of me talking about Singletary.
Nope, this is it.
All right. I'm happy you guys are on the train.
And I'll just boomerang all the way to the bottom and we can come back up. But I'm playing McKinnon on the other side too. Like at 4,900, like that's how I'm going to get different in this.
Yeah, my only thing, Vinny, with that. So I thought about it too. Like because I like McKinnon. He looks good.
Clyde's terrible.
Is McKinnon going to get you 20 points? Right? Like that's what you're looking for. He's just below 5K or he needs 18 points, right? You really believe he's going to be the 18-point guy? I couldn't talk myself into it, but I love watching McKinnon play. Just the thing that areas the ball goes to.
The thing that that's true. There is a lot of targets in there, but the thing that stuck out to me is like they started putting him in goal lines, like the goal line situations in the red zone last week. Like he is a factor, and I think like Clyde just doesn't have the boom like that Andy Reid wants, you know. And again, if this game gets kind of wild and gets crazy. We talked about it just now with Buffalo. If Buffalo's pass rush is just absolutely getting after Mahomes here, like McKinnon could get 5 to 8 targets easily in this game, right? Yeah. So I don't know, 4,700. Like,
I'm glad you brought it up though, because I was thinking about it hard this week, and I couldn't talk myself into it. So I'm going to need you guys to do that for me.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you touched on Kenneth Walker. What's your thoughts? Because I called this. I just retweeted it last night. I called this back in the draft. Like someone reported Rashad Penny is going to get 20 touches a week, and I was like, by week 5, Kenneth Walker will be the starter.
Well,
and
okay.
Sure enough, we're going on to week 6. I get it, but the world works in mysterious ways. Okay. He's the better running back. No doubt about it.
He is. I just. Man,
my biggest fear is DJ Dallas and some of those other guys that they mix in.
I just don't know. I would rather play some chalk in some other positions.
Yeah.
I can't play all the chalk guys.
Totally. Yeah, and you got to think, is Kenneth Walker going to get the volume? Like, it's very easy. We don't have him this week, which sucks, but it was very easy to play Dameon Pierce at 5,400 every week, right? We knew he was getting 20 carries a game. Yeah. Kenneth Walker, like, he might not get 10 this week.
And Kenneth Walker is right now the 3rd highest owned back on the slate in terms of ownership.
And he can absolutely just bust. And there's plenty of guys in that 5K range that we know are going to get the ball a hell of a lot more.
One of my, like, big deciding factors, I was looking in between Kenneth Walker and Ramondre Stevenson. Okay. Kenneth Walker only shows up in the optimals about 10 to 11% of the time. Ramondre shows up in the optimal lineup 22 to 24% of the time. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to play chalk, I need it to hit. So I'm going to go to the area that I believe it most possible to hit. I think this could be one of those games where if it is a shootout, right? I know that Pete wants to run the ball, but Lockett. I'm all over Lockett once we get to receivers and DK. You could play either one of them. I just think that I'm going to go find somebody else other than Walker this week. And I don't really need to go spending down here like that. Like there's some guys cheaper, like we talked about. I'm with you, Vinny, on McKinnon. I think you have to play McKinnon, especially I think you have to play McKinnon when you're doing a full game stack of that game.
Just to get a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. Well, number one, people are still really scared about doing full-on game stacks. They just won't do it. They won't run 4 guys from one team and 3 guys from another team. But look, if this game is going to score 90 points like the Detroit game, you've already seen that it will work this year.
Well, if you don't have it and it does hit that, like even the 2 or 3 pieces doesn't get you there.
Well, it might, but you're just guaranteeing yourself that it'll hit, right? And it's a cheap piece to that game that isn't really going to be there. So I'm glad that you brought it up because I am in on it.
And I'm gonna go back to this. It's that Baltimore Giants game. The lineups I have Danny Dimes in. I'm probably gonna have J.K. Dobbins in. He is the sneaky goal line guy, right? We saw it 2 weeks ago where he just got 2 touchdowns. He stole from Lamar. It was Lamar's bum week. So I think in lineups you don't have Lamar and you're going with that stack, you got to have Dobbins. And he's right in that range with everyone else where everyone's going to be playing Kenneth Walker. And Dobbins is going to come in at 2% again and potentially get you 20-plus points.
Yeah. And the only other guy that I'll kind of mention, it broke my heart last week, but it's the tide is officially starting to shift in Jacksonville towards ETN. Like, it's going to be his show here.
Still hasn't gotten that touchdown. It is coming, people. Just
10
wait.
Carries last week. 5 targets.
Just
14
relax.
points. Yeah, he pops one of those touches in last week, and he's over 20 points. You know, so
exactly, man.
No, even
ETN
5K.
is so electric, dude. He's so electric.
So I think that's a good pivot off if you're gonna, to get off Walker if you're gonna do it. So cool.
Well, before we go on to receivers, I say we talk about our new favorite product.
Absolutely.
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I do this thing now where I go to the gym every morning before I actually go to work. And if you guys didn't know, I work in a gym, but I bring my entire travel pack with me to the club. I literally get to spend the entire day there. Don't have to come back home. I get ready in the morning right there in the club. I have my entire kit with me in my beautiful leather Manscaped bag. And I swear people just going, that's a good looking bag.
Yeah.
People have mentioned it, right? So it's been my new favorite product. People have been asking me, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm just like, more Manscaped products.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Zone 20.
If you're talking about Christmas, I just did it myself. I'm looking at the box. I went to manscaped.com. I said, look, I've got 3 brother-in-laws, 4 brother-in-laws, right? Big family that I married into. What am I going to get these guys? They're all good buddies of mine. I've all known them for a long time. I'm like, oh, duh. I can use Zone 20 and get 20% off from free shipping. So I just knocked out basically my whole family's Christmas shopping in about 30 seconds last week. It's here. I don't have to think about it. I've got months now where I can just kind of sit back, relax, got them the lawnmower, got them the bags so that way they're all set up. I mean, it's just so easy, right? So again, it's manscaped.com. Our promo code that when you use it, you're supporting us directly is Zone20 that gets you 20% off and free shipping worldwide. So I know that we have some listeners around the globe. We appreciate everybody. You guys can all take advantage of this. If you go to Manscaped's website, you get free shipping within your local area without the promo code. With the promo code, nationwide, across the world, Budapest, Dubai, Italy, Germany, across the pond in Chariot, England, down in Mexico City where the Niners are going to be playing in a couple of weeks, Guadalajara, wherever it might be, Zone 20, free shipping, manscaped.com. If you haven't checked it out yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go do it.
Couldn't have said it better. Have nothing to add.
Love it. Well, let's move on to receivers, boys.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Oh boy.
Let's just stay away from so we don't waste any time on the games we talked about, Buffalo,
Yeah.
KC, right? We know who the guys are there. We got Diggs, we got Gabe Davis, you got Kelsey. Let's move on. So what are some of those receivers here at the top? Let's just go above 7K range that you guys are falling in love with.
Oh, little seven. I mean, I kind of like. First off, I mean, I like the Vikings call, Jim, that you talked about. Like, obviously Jefferson is the must play if you're going to do it. Yes. I also like. Apparently, Tyreek was in a walking boot leaving the game on Sunday, but he practiced in full today, so that's not a factor. Maybe it was just stylish. He wanted to look good walking out in a boot. But
I don't know about that.
Bringing it back with Tyreek or Waddle. I know Waddle's not in the 7K, but he just is so freaking explosive, and he's a guy that can take 2-yard passes from Skylar Thompson to the house. Like, he doesn't need the 60-yard bomb to do it.
Sure.
So if their ownership doesn't climb, I like those two plays up top.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jefferson for me.
For sure.
He's too cheap. He should be up there with Cooper Kupp. He's getting the same usage. I mean, Gabe Davis broke the slate last week, but Jefferson had like 18 points by the end of the first quarter and didn't even have a touchdown. He had he had like 10 catches for like 76 yards by the end of the first quarter. It's like, what's going on? So
his target share is ridiculous, man.
He's the only guy that consistently has that boom upside. I mean, he's just going under-owned. I mean, he's finding himself in the optimal lineup 17 to 18% of the time, and he's only being owned 12 to 13%. So you have a positive leverage.
And I would say he's got a slight lower floor, but he's the exact same as Cooper Kupp for almost $1,000 less. Like, why would you not just play Justin Jefferson if you're going to do it?
100%. Cooper Kupp is a little bit banged up. They're playing a bad team. Miami is a team that can actually stay with the Vikings and make him relevant for the entire game. So, I mean, for me, it's Jefferson. The other guy that just kind of hasn't had since that Monday night game, obviously, is Debo. He's a little bit higher owned than I was expecting him to be.
That was my thoughts exactly.
See, I mean, like, especially with the higher,
like, I don't care.
But especially with the higher ownership, I just don't feel like they need him. And the Niners have done a pretty good job with, like, you know what, we don't really need Debo in this situation.
Yeah,
so we're not going to push it. You know, so like to that point, they got Super Bowl hopes, right? They're like, we're not going to lose this guy to a small muscle tear that he always gets.
I mean, to that point, like, I'm with you. I came into the day going, like, pulling up ownership, hoping if he was going to be like sub 5 and everybody was going to this game, the Bills game and Jefferson, I'd play Debo at that for sure. But I just don't think you need to go there for a guy that could very well not be used on Sunday when you have so much good talent around him. So
there's a really good chance he does not get used. That's the only thing that scares me at that price range.
Yeah.
I want to see Debo in a game that we know is going to be competitive.
Yes.
And they're going to have to get him involved to win the game.
Next week versus the Chiefs.
Exactly.
Yeah, but sure. But the Niners defense is so banged up that any of these games on the road could just be competitive.
See, I just don't think so. I think the Niners defense is solid. I think D'Amico Ryans is that good of a coordinator. Obviously they're missing their corners and everything, but they're predicated on that front seven and their safeties. Right?
I think he just has he just has a much lower floor than like for instance, he's going to be around the same ownership. I'm sorry, he's going to be more ownership than Hollywood Brown, and I'll just play Hollywood, who's getting 12 to 14 targets a game. Like,
the biggest part of their offense.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm gonna move it on. So we keep it moving here, so we don't have a 3-hour podcast. Mike Evans is the guy this week. Mike Evans, I think this is a 2 to 3 touchdown game. I think it's a no doubter. He's my sure thing. I'm gonna put him in a 60% plus lineups this week. The only thing that scares me is that opponent ranked 32. People might get attracted to that, but you guys are saying his ownership's not going up that high. Even if he's at 10%, 12%, I'm still over Mike Evans. He is my shot this week.
Mike Evans is like 5%.
Oh, geez, thank you.
I'm showing Russell Gage is going to be higher owned than him.
That is beautiful, beautiful stuff. So I think Mike Evans, this is the week. He's the leading active receiver in touchdowns in the NFL right now. He's 2 away from 80. this is the week he goes up above 80. I mean, he's a touchdown machine, and he's going to continue that this week.
Well, he is.
All right. I also think you can go to Godwin on the other side. I was kind of off Godwin because of ownership, but last week, he's dropped down. He's now in like 8%, which kind of goes back to the Bucs game. Like, I think both these guys are playable. Pittsburgh's terrible, dude. Like, they're
both of them
bad.
are playable. Like, I like Godwin, but again, I truly think this is the Evans week.
Yeah. What about some other one-offs, Jim? Any others that you're liking? I mean, Tyler Lockett's going to be 20% plus owned.
Lockett's for me. I don't care. Either him or Metcalf.
I was gonna say you have to like DK a little bit too. Then,
yeah, I mean, Arizona does have some larger corners that can match up a little bit better with DK. We saw it last week with AJ Brown kind of get shut down a little bit. Very much the same type of receiver that DK is.
Right.
So,
that's fair.
But I mean, I'm just gonna keep going back to Amari Cooper.
It's your boy.
I mean, he had the one fizzle out week, but again, last week just continues to produce and score 20 plus points. And, I don't really know what else you want out of a receiver,
and he's dropped in price.
Yeah, he keeps going down in price. So it's like, all right.
That's good there. He's solid. The matchup, Belichick's going to do everything he can to stop Nick Chubb and make Brissett beat him. So the throws 100%. Are going to happen. The targets are going to happen. But the best pivot of the week, it's Chris Olave, $100 less than Lockett. This guy is a stud, and he's getting the ball. And then, honestly, he's like the only person I don't care if Winston or Andy Dalton are playing. Olave's getting the targets, and he's doing something with them. He's going to have another one of those games soon, and it could be the Cincinnati game, right? The Cincinnati get-right game where these offenses are going at each other, and this ends up being the highest-scoring game of the day. Chris Olave, he's in concussion protocol right now, but he'll be good by Sunday. He's in like stage 3 of 5 on Wednesday, so he's going to be good to go. So Chris Olave, I'm going to line him up all over the place. I was really disappointed he wasn't on the slate last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Another guy down there that I'm going to keep going back to as long as he's healthy is Jacoby Myers.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on the field, he's like getting an Amari Cooper level of target share.
Okay.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, had a good week last week again, 27 points after being hurt for a couple of weeks, but he's hit double-digit fantasy points every single week. So, 7 for 111 and a touchdown last week. Even that is with Bailey Zappi, right? He's the guy I think that you can really go pretty heavy on in that game if you want to get away from the Ramondre chalk and go to somebody else because both of those defenses are not very good. So there will be some points scored in this game. Don't think that just because it's New England and Cleveland that this is not your New England and Cleveland of,
Oh yeah, and everyone saw the shutout. Everyone saw the shutout last week, right? So people are going to just stay away from the game completely. And it's like, guys, it's not going to be another shutout. The odds of that happening are, monumental.
They were at home. That was a weird thing. Like it just, I don't know. But so that's where I'm going to there. Is there anybody down low, Vin?
Well, I really like, before we get low, at 5,100, I really like Tyler Boyd. The way these defenses have been playing against Joe Burrow this year is they're playing that deep ball. They're trying to make him throw underneath, and Burrow's not having the best time adjusting. You saw it last week. He did a lot better. He's giving the ball to Boyd more. And the reality is when Boyd's getting the ball over the middle, that's opening things up for Chase.
Yeah,
I think Boyd's getting more involved in the offense. You're going to see more volume to Boyd at 5,100. He could be he gets just that one touchdown, and he's getting us our 4X.
Yeah, T. Higgins only played about 8 snaps last game. His ankle's still bothering him. Didn't practice again today. I would not be surprised if they just sat him down to let him get healthy this week. And then, I mean, if especially if T. Higgins sits, I might have like 30% Tyler Boyd. I think it's a great one-off, and it's a cheap one too. That I'm pretty attracted to.
Totally
love it. Let's get below 5K.
Below 5.
I've got some juicy ones down here. I mean,
I did too. I know you guys always bag on me for it, but you seem to like both sides of this game. So I'll play a 1%, especially if Rashad Bateman misses.
Just say it.
Duvernay is getting 7-8 targets a game. And all he needs is like fucking one of them, and he's a 50-yard touchdown waiting to happen. You know what I mean? Like
here's
he's just too easy of a play.
He also returns some punts sometimes, and that can help you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to George Pickens at 4,600. If we're going down the ladder, he's just getting too many targets. He's the guy I'd like to own. I don't know why Marcus Valdez-Scantling is only 4,500 in that KC and Buffalo game.
Mm-hmm. That's because his big game was on a Monday night game, man. Didn't hit the algorithm in time.
Right. So he's I mean, he still is going to have that big game, and he just hasn't had, right?
I had some interest in Alec Pierce before I saw he was going to be over 10%.
Why'd everyone get on that train, man?
You were the first,
just hit week 1, dude.
You landed on Plymouth Rock first, though. We know.
I mean, he looks good. Like, if you have
he does look good. Yeah.
If you have to play Alec Pierce, like, that's okay. I really like Rondale, who's also getting owned.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're forcing him the ball quite a bit.
Look what Dortch was doing, and Rondale Moore's back. Dortch is out. Now you're getting a better player in that same spot. The targets are there. Rondale Moore can do something with it. I don't really care about ownership in that. 4,200.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
You talked about it getting different in this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
I said, Joe, you're going to Slayton at 38.
I really, really like Slayton this week. I mean, he's just that guy that they never start him. People get injured. He ends up being thrown in there, and he does a good job. You know, and he'll get those 2 deep balls. And he runs deep balls, right? He is the deep receiver. Like, over the years, we've seen him catch deep balls over and over again.
Yeah.
And if this game's going to run up, Slayton is going to have a game.
I will tell you, if he does play, he practiced today limited, which was awesome to see. If Wan'Dale Robinson is active, play Wan'Dale Robinson. He will be the second best, most talented player behind Saquon on this offense. Like, the dude was freaking unbelievable at Kentucky. Like, they took him with a higher pick. Like, they're gonna get him the ball. So just take a shot, 3,600 on him if you guys like that game.
So I also just noticed, why is Mecole Hardman at $4,000?
So that was the next guy I was about to hit on. 1% ownership as well. I am seeing.
How's that possible?
You want to talk about getting different in this game?
Yeah,
that's how you do it. 5 targets last week.
Hardman's my number one showdown player. He's so cheap always, right? But he just never gets there. He never really explodes.
He hasn't scored since week 1. That's why people are down on him. But
what was encouraging was he hurt his heel in that play, right? It was like, oh no, here comes his heel again, and he came back in even harder. And it was like, okay, so obviously this is an injury that it's a pain tolerance injury, and not one that's going to hold him out. And it's not actually limiting his ability. It's all pain tolerance, which not going to hold me back.
Yeah, the scary part is he's not playing he's only playing 40-50% of the snaps. But again, if we think this game is going to pop off, I think he's an amazing play.
Well, but when he comes in, he comes in for the specific reason of getting him the ball. Like, he doesn't play in 12 personnel or 11 personnel a lot because he doesn't block. Right, he plays in 4 wide receiver sets.
No, exactly.
He plays in 10 personnel.
Oh, they'll put him in a running back, right? They put him in running back twice last week.
They will line him up in the backfield. So, I mean, he's the we play tournaments. He's the ultimate tournament player.
Yep.
Right. And at $4,000, I mean, what are we doing here? Of course, we got to have exposure to him if we're going to think about stacking that game. I mean, he fits perfectly.
I will say the same thing about it. I'm going to have him in a few lineups. I know he's healthy with Isaiah McKenzie coming back, but Khalil Shakir looked freaking awesome last week in that offense. They're going to find a way to get him involved in that offense.
He did, but Vinny, when McKenzie's healthy, he just he does not even see the field.
The guy.
I get it, man. But if they are, again, it all depends how you think this game goes, right? It
doesn't matter though, because if McKenzie's healthy and on the field, then Shakir is not.
Well, I think a big question to that is if Dawson Knox doesn't play again.
No.
Then Shakir becomes
Knox practiced today. He's gonna go.
Okay, then that changes things because with Knox out last week, that opens up so many targets there for him.
But Knox is going to be a go, no doubt. They held him out last week with the intention of being ready for this game.
All right. Talk me off the ledge. All right, I mean,
so speaking of Knox, let's go to tight ends.
Let's do it. It could be pretty quick here, right? I mean,
yeah. I love Dawson Knox, right? They held him out last week. He probably could have ended up playing, and they held him out because they want to win this game, right? It's Buffalo Chiefs. It's in KC. Knox is going to be a part of the offense. He's too cheap. I don't even know what he's at right now. He's down there. He's at 3,400.
He's going to be a fantastic run blocker, just like Kittle this week. I'm not playing him. I mean,
I don't have him on my list.
They have shown how they want to use Dawson Knox this year, and it's not in the receiving game. So he's just not. To me, there's other guys who are just going to get targeted more that I would rather go to. I get the argument for him, but it's just a pass for me.
Yeah, I have. I mean, below Kelsey and Andrews, again, amazing plays. I'll get them both into as many lineups as I can. Joe, your boy, Evan Ingram, massive target share last week.
Dude, they just keep throwing him the ball.
I think you got to look his way. Like he is super cheap. 3,500. And Njoku 4K is like.
And Ingram has made a couple catches this year that are kind of ridiculous. Like he's not this like regular tight end. He's a receiver that's a big body. They're going to throw him the ball and he's going to make some wild catches and hopefully one of them gets in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, and Njoku's heavily involved with Cooper there in Cleveland. I
got this weird feeling that this might be a Tonyan 2-touchdown game. He's getting the targets. The Green Bay offense is not,
It makes sense. I get the argument. Trust me.
He's caught 17 of his 20 targets this year. Right, so he's getting himself open every now and again. The 3,600. All we're looking for is that touchdown putt in the second one. We're gold.
I think it's time to get back to our boy Irv. He's getting more targets than Tonyan. He's cheaper than Tonyan. Better game stack.
Well, I mean, I personally I really like Zach Ertz again this week.
Sure,
he's getting so many freaking targets, and anytime they go into the 2 and 4 minute offense, it's him and Rondale. And they're going to try and take shots to Hollywood Brown deep, but if it's not open, then it's him and Rondale, and that's where they just pile up points.
Yeah,
at 4,900, they price them up. Higbee is sucking the ownership away from Ertz, which is fine with me.
Yep.
I'll probably fade Higbee. Zach Ertz is going to be my guy if I'm paying up. If I'm paying down.
Cade Otton.
I
don't even care if Brait comes back. Yeah. He was being involved before Brait left. And
I don't know. I've been looking around down here. There's just not a lot there.
Yeah,
there's not.
And I'm not going to force something.
Stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to force something, right? Maybe I don't even know who the backup tight end is in Pittsburgh. If Freiermuth is out, but he practiced in a limited fashion. I think the Tonyan call is interesting.
I think it's just one of those ones, guys. It's GPP, right? No one's going to be on him. He gets you that 15, 20 points. We're rolling.
I mean, the guy that if we're going to talk about stacking that game is Daniel Bellinger on the Giants. Mm-hmm. People think that this is not a real person.
Dude, they gave him a reverse on the 2-yard line for a touchdown last week. They obviously believe in this guy.
If you watch the game, Brian Daboll. When did we get the emergence of Dawson Knox? Is when Brian Daboll got a hold of the play calling and really started calling the plays in Buffalo. He likes throwing the ball to the tight ends.
Yeah.
He likes athletic guys. He thinks that they're a great asset in the red zone. And on a team where you have basically Dick for anybody else to throw the ball to, I really like Bellinger. You can pair him really cheaply with Danny Dimes and Saquon and have kind of a weird stack there. You can run it back with Dobbins and Andrews and have a really unique situation that's also pretty cheap, but add some of these other plays in there like Davis or Jefferson if you want to, right? So I think he's my cheap option.
I like it. Defense.
I'm going to let you guys lead this one off.
I mean, dude, the easy answer is just play Carolina.
What?
Watching the Rams offensive line, absolutely, dude. Matt Rule got fired. This team's gonna have a little bit of like energy finally. Get that guy out of the building, dude. The Rams cannot block anything.
If it was at home, I might be on board with you, but they're going to LA.
What have the Rams done to make you think that they're gonna just blow Carolina out here?
Yeah.
I mean, the Niners, who
if Baker was
don't
playing,
have a very dynamic offense, scored 40 points on them.
Yeah, but
I think the Panthers are one of those defenses. The Panthers are one of those defenses. The last 2 seasons, they take their shots. This is why they lead the league in the last 2 years in pick sixes and have these weird plays. Obviously, none of that worked out for them last week against the Niners, but they're that weird team that gets that defensive touchdown.
See, I think that McVay is just going to pop on the tape and just see that we can just run the ball all over these guys.
But they can't. Their line is so bad, dude.
Well,
so bad.
The weakness of Carolina's team is their front seven. I mean, their main linebacker, Frankie Louvu's banged up. He didn't play last week. They lost. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not playing I'm trying to stay away from defenses that can get me negative points.
Well, what's your no matter what the price, what's your like favorite defense this week?
Jaguars.
No matter what the price. Same. Jaguars, you said?
Yeah. I really like the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's just a broken team. They're playing the Colts, who are just a broken team.
Exactly. Not Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan.
Same thing.
Just, geez. It's bad, man. The amount of times he fumbles and like he flinches before he's even getting hit.
Well, he can't move. Like,
it's not good, man. And that's the thing. He's a statue. Like, I'm going to pick the defense that's going against the statue that can't even throw the ball past 15 yards right now.
Yeah. I mean, I really only have interest in the Jags and then maybe the Bills, but that's if you just want to get different. But I think last week, I just played the Cowboys all over the place, and it was fine. This week, I'll just play the Jags all over the place, and I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think the Jags is the consensus pick here.
Yes. For me, I have the Jags, and then if I'm going up, it's the Bucks, just because Kenny Pickett is just a gunslinger, and that team's terrible. So
he's got no help. He's got great receivers. Their offensive line is just
the same as the Rams. So you're guaranteed to get a turnover there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play Fournette, you have to play the Tampa Bay defense. Like, if you're gonna eat that chalk, you have to eat both the chalks, and because not a lot of people still will do that.
Yeah,
agreed. All right, guys. Well, that does it.
Cool.
Good luck, everybody.
Oh,
we're going top stacks here. Oh yeah, geez, we got top stacks. We got our shot calls. My bad, guys.
Top 3. What do you got, Joe?
Top 3 stacks. I mean, we got a Buffalo game, the Giants game against Baltimore. Third stack is Cincinnati, New Orleans.
Cincinnati, New Orleans. Okay.
Ooh, Jim? I like that.
And the New Orleans is going to be a lot dependent on who plays at quarterback of how that stack runs. I have a lot of different options.
Yeah, I like the Giants game too. We just talked about it with tight end. I like how you can run Danny, Saquon, and Bellinger, or if you don't want to do that, pick one of the receivers and then run back with Dobbins and Andrews. I really like that stack. You could play it the other way with Lamar too. The only problem is it's just a little bit more expensive because Lamar is, $3,000 almost more than Daniel Jones is. But I think that Saquon has to be a part of that stack. He's the core piece of that game for me. I really like obviously the Chiefs game, but I really like, we talked about it and identified, Kelsey had 4 touchdowns. The one thing the Bills are going to promise that I promise that they're going to do is they're going to not let Kelsey beat them.
Yeah.
So I really like
Jordan Poyer is going to play this week. I mean, he's arguably the best safety in the NFL right now. And
so look,
that's going to be a factor.
Am I going to have a stack with Kelsey in it? Yes. I'm going to have more stacks without Kelsey. And I will just play Andrews in those spots, really. But I really, really like that situation. I like how Hardman's cheap. I like how MVS is cheap. I like that McKinnon is cheap with a premium quarterback in Mahomes, and you just have to play a couple of different combinations of that in order to kind of figure out where you want to be. And then I think my third favorite stack is going to be the Arizona side, not the Seattle side of that game, where I'll play Kyler, I'll play Hollywood Brown, and then either Ertz or Rondale or both. And then it's really easy to run back with Lockett and or DK.
Yep, I'm with you. Bills, Chiefs, obviously, and then my two other favorite stacks are going to be Arizona and probably Tampa. Just because I think the ownership and those two are in good spots.
I mean,
speaking of broken teams, Pittsburgh's broken, man.
I will definitely have at least one Kirk Cousins stack, though.
Yeah, they're on here.
I don't know how aggressive I'm going to get with that. I might just go Cousins and Jefferson, but he does, like Joey said, he hasn't been getting it done in the end zone very much this year. So I might throw a Jefferson Thielen Cousins stack and then pick somebody on the Miami side to run it back with, like maybe a Mostert and Waddle or something like that.
I like it.
All right. Ready for our shot calling?
Shot call.
I'm 2 weeks in a row that I've hit mine. So,
dude, I feel like I've been on fire with these shot calls this year. Mike Evans, 10 catches, 2 touchdowns, floor.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah.
It's a hell of a floor.
I can see a 14 catch, 170 yard, 2 touchdown, 3 touchdown type game for Mike Evans this week.
Okay, I can get behind that. Vinny?
Yeah, I think Kyler goes for over 30 this week in points. DraftKings. I think this is the week while everyone's focused on that Buffalo game. Kyler is going to be kind of stealing the show on the other channel.
I'll follow you up with that. I think that at least 2 of those touchdowns and 100 of those yards are going to go to Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz will be the piece that you will absolutely have to have in your lineups this week.
Hey-o.
To win a championship.
I like it. Sweet. I think that pretty much covers it.
Yep. Well, now we can officially say it's over. It's wrapped up. So thank you guys for listening. Good luck this week. Make sure you are tweeting your winnings, tagging Red Zone DFS Joey Levine, Vinny Levine 29, JJ McIntosh. Follow us on Twitter. Retweet Manscaped 20% off Zone 20. It is the holidays are coming up. Don't wait like I do every single year, and I have to get some shitty
get
gift.
ahead of it.
Just get ahead of it. I'm going to be ahead of it this year, right? I'm going to go Manscaped Zone 20.
If you're celebrating Hanukkah, you could literally get all 8 gifts at manscaped.com. Individually wrap them, and with the big what do you call it? The big crescendo. When you light the last candle, make sure you bust out the Lawnmower 4.0 when you're cutting up the challah, if you will.
All right.
Yes.
Enough.
All right, guys.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
Thanks for listening.